Hello, dear friends. Friday, October 11th, 2024. How are you doing today? Just wanted to back up a little bit and get a macro view. Wanted to invite you to join me on my computer to do a little background research on the Christian religion in Canada, from 99% of the population at the turn of the century to around 50% today, and to try and find out who is in charge of these various denominations. How come there are not names that we're familiar with? How come we don't know who is the head of the Presbyterian Church in Canada? Who is the head of the Anglican Church in Canada? Who is the head of the Pentecostal Church in Canada? Whatever denomination, the Orthodox, what have you. Maybe some of you know who these people are. I don't know who they are. I don't know how they're spending their time. They're busy. They're wanting to manage what it is they manage. But I just wanted to take a moment to back up a little bit, try and get a overall view, a macro view, see where it leads me. So if you want to join me for a little bit of a rabbit hole, let's take a little detour today and see where that leads us. Thanks a lot for watching. God bless you. I love you very much. And welcome to my computer. Here we go. Hello, dear friends. So here we are. Welcome to my computer. I'm just here on Wikipedia. Let's take a look at religion in Canada, right? And this is from 2021 census. You have Christianity at 53%. No religion at 34%. This would be a quickly growing demographic, right? No religion. It includes atheism and people that substitute their own morality for Christian. Now, at one time, nominal religion in Canada was pushing over 80%. And that you don't have to go that far back to see those levels, but let's leave that for now. Islam, 4.9%. Now, remember that the UK became a Muslim nation when Islam reached 6% of the population. The reason is because one Muslim is as strong as 1,000 Christians in their religious beliefs and how it affects their life. Because for Muslims, there is no fear of Muslim nationalism. There's no fear of Muslim speaking out against the government. There's no fear for a Muslim to speak out against perverted ideology or any of that. So as soon as this number reaches a certain level, then that's game over. Because like I said, one Muslim is far stronger than thousands and thousands of Christians combined. The reason is because of the fragmentation of Christianity and the indoctrination of silence, right? Don't speak up. Don't say anything. Not allowed to judge each other. And the selective emphasis of Scripture, as I've explained in my last video. I posted my last video, and the first response I got said, well, don't judge and you can't be judged. I'm thinking, man, obviously you didn't watch the video. But anyway, and then you've got a number of other religions that is broken down. But it's good to zoom out, just to zoom out and get a picture of what's going on. And so this is very valuable information to read about religious pluralism, the history, and where the founders of Canada came from, and 1871, the national census revealed 56% as Protestants and 42% as Catholics. Look at that number: 99.25% in 1871 were either Protestants or Catholics. And then you had 0.05% as pagans, 0.03% as Jewish, 0.02% Mormon, 0.15% as irreligious. That number now is 30-some%. What did we say up here? No religion, 34.6%. And that's 3 years ago. That number is quickly increasing. Atheism is running rampant, right? And this number is going to be increasing as well. And so Christianity is probably already below 50%, is my guess. So it's good to zoom out, but also to take a look at history, right? The history of Canada, the history of Christianity in Canada. It's valuable to check it out. I didn't make these numbers up. The 1871, the national census. What's that number again? 99.25%. 99.25% identified as either Protestant or Catholic. And so here we go. Let's look at the denomination. Now, I don't know what this number means here. Pop 1951. I have no idea what year that's from. I just haven't had a chance to research it. It's from retrieved November 18, 2016. So I don't know why this number 1951 comes up. But anyway, Catholics, 6 million, 43%. This is breaking down the Christian denominations, right? So the Catholics are the largest, strongest denomination amongst the overall Christian denomination within Canada. Then you have the United Church and Anglican, Presbyterian, Baptist, Lutheran, Jewish, Ukrainian, Greek Orthodox, Mennonites. Oh, Mennonites are not too shabby, doing pretty good. The Pentecostals, Salvation Army, Evangelical. So currently, I happen to be in this particular category right now, Evangelical. That's the name of the church I attend. It's called Evangelical. I won't give the specific church, but anyway. And I was born Catholic. So I was born, baptized, confirmed, First Communion, catechism, all that stuff, did all that. Catholic, went to Catholic school, the whole 9 yards. So technically, according to the papal registry in the Vatican, I'm in this category, but whatever. And then when I was 21 years old, I publicly confessed my faith in Christ, confessed that Jesus is Lord, believed that God raised him from the dead, and was baptized in a Pentecostal church right here, right? So I've been kind of around the board here a little bit. Mormons, well, they believe in some guy that found these golden plates, and they're whacked, same as Jehovah's Witnesses. They believe a different Bible. They don't believe in the deity of Christ. But it's funny because these last two categories that are the most, how do I say this without being too impolite, the most bizarre beliefs are probably also the most, upstanding as far as following a moral code, if you want to call it. Well, Mormons, you can see how they dress, right? And Jehovah's Witnesses, they're always very meticulously wanting to be a good neighbor, and on and on. So there you go. Bizarre, upside down. But anyway, so if I'm in this category, I'm really in a very tiny category within Canada. It's good to be aware of that. Even if I'm in this category, I'm in a very tiny category compared to 6 million Catholics, the most powerful Christian denomination as far as numbers go. And then United Church, well, a lot of the United Church has given them over to the alphabet army, right? LGBTQIAEIOU and sometimes Y group. And so these are inconsequential. Anglicans are Catholic wannabes. They're relatively inconsequential. There's no strength in any of these. Do you know any leaders of any of these groups that represent, if you're an Orthodox, you probably know who's heading that church in Canada, but none of these groups have anybody that is speaking out publicly against government policy, either on a municipal level, a federal level, what's going on in our public libraries, what's going on in our public school systems. None. Zero influence in the social discourse currently today. And so that's something to be aware of. But even if we were to take the greatest number, let's take a look at, why not, the Catholic religion, right? And again, this is a lot of great information that you may want to study. Of course, they have the stuff about that and about that and about that. I'm not going to get into that because I would be here all day. Let's move on to the Catholic Church in Canada. Yeah, Catholic Church in Canada. Who's in charge of the Catholic Church in Canada? The president. This guy. Oh, he's the president. The president. And then the Apostolic Nuncio is a fellow by the name of Ivan Jerkovic. A Slovenian, right? Which is, as you probably know, used to be Eastern European country. Used to be called Yugoslavia, right? And so let's look up what he's doing, right? French and the Irish and all the history and this stuff and the population and so on. Very interesting stuff to look up on. And so let's look him up. the Apostolic Nuncio, and there's a picture of the. Now this is interesting. Keep an eye on this picture here. The Apostolic Nunciature to Canada is the diplomatic mission of the Holy See to Canada. Of course, the Holy See being the Pope and the Vatican, and is headed by the Apostolic Nuncio to Canada, which is both an ecclesiastical and diplomatic office with the rank of ambassador. Okay, very interesting. So let's look up the Apostolic Nunciature to Canada. There's the picture of the gatehouse with the manor in the distance. Oh, okay, so this is not the Apostolic Nunciature. That's just the gatehouse. We'll take a look at this again a little later. And so you can see where the property is based in a place known as Rockcliffe Park. And it was in 1868 developed by Thomas Mackay, a Canadian businessman, Scotsman, right? Who's Thomas Mackay? Just for curiosity, right? Born in September 1992. Became a skilled stonemason, settled in Montreal. Partners with John Redpath. Well, we know the Redpath name is Redpath Sugar, right? You can see that big sugar factory down in Toronto. Scots, Quebec businessman, philanthropist. And this is very interesting stuff to read about how they got wealthy and influential and were the industrialists of the founding of Canada. But let's go back to the Apostolic Nunciature. I don't even know how to pronounce that properly. And the leader of the Catholic Church in Canada by the name of Ivan Jurkovic, right? Is a Slovenian prelate. And a little bit about his background. His secretary in South Korea and Apostolic Nunciature of Russia, and reassigned to Ukraine and Russia, and Nuncio to Uzbekistan. He was named as permanent observer to the United Nations in Geneva in 2016, but it wasn't permanent. I don't know why they call him permanent, but anyway, because in 2021 he became the Apostolic Nuncio to Canada. So there you go. And yeah, he was also served as financial auditor in the pontifical representations in Colombia from 88 to 92. Now, I read a book called God's Bankers, all about the Vatican Bank, and I would love to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm not going to go there right now because it would just take me too far afield. But very interesting stuff. If you want to study about that, it's very, very interesting stuff. So this guy's background is very impressive, I guess you could say. So let's go take a look at the Apostolic Nuncios. So there it is. There you can see this is the picture, right, that we saw there, the little gate, and where it is. It's all on, Google. It's not anything hidden. And this is the place here, right? This is not the actual place. This is just the entrance. This is the gatehouse. And this was the little portion that you saw over here that they include in the picture, right? As a picture of the gatehouse. Well, the gatehouse is actually quite large. This is the gatehouse. I mean, this is a lot bigger than my house, I can tell you that, right? I mean, I don't know, what would that be, 4,000 or 5,000 square feet or something? And it's got a parking here. You can take a, you can do a little, sorry, I got stuck there. And, nice little neighborhood, Manor Avenue. And, yeah, so there you go. And you can go, if you want to see how to get there, this is right on the Ottawa River. That's Rockcliffe Road. If you want to check it out, you can go down and see. This is right along the Ottawa River in Ottawa. You can drive along here. And if you want to get there, you got to go up Lisgar, right? You go up here, Lisgar Road. You go up here. You can do a tour. Why not? Just do a tour. It's not anything, you can check it out. And then you get to these, then you reach Rockcliffe Road, right? All gated. This is the land that Mackay developed. Nothing to see here, just a security vehicle with its license plate blocked out. Nothing to see there. But all gated. You can't get in here, right? Of course, you can't just go driving along here if you want to. But there's a view of the beautiful Ottawa River. There's where the ambassador lives from the U.S. And this is where all these ambassadors live in Rockcliffe Park, because you would think that they live in the embassy, but they don't live in the embassy. That's why I was so, why did I think that? I just thought, well, if an ambassador, there's a nice little ambassador's home. If you, and here we are. We are at the Apostolic Nuno. Now, let's zoom out of here, because this is not the place where the guy lives, right? We're going to zoom out of here, and this is the Apostolic Nuno. This is the gatehouse that we're standing in front of here on Manor Avenue, looking through this little porthole. But if you go up here, this is the home. This is the spread here, right? Not this little gatehouse that we were looking at, which is impressive in and of itself. But this piece of property in Rockcliffe Park is a couple of hectares. We're looking at, 4 or 5 acres of land, right? And you can't get here. You can't just drive up and visit, right? Because these roads are not accessible. These roads are not on Google Maps in here. These ones are, but not these ones that are connecting in here. And his next door neighbor on this side is the Swedish ambassador's residence. And on this side here is the ambassador to Indonesia. That's where he lives. A nice little spread. Now, if you go and you look up the embassy of Indonesia, this is the embassy of Indonesia in Ottawa, right? You go along here, it's not too far, and, it's gated, very nondescript. And a lot of the embassies are like this. They'll have a little plaque, Embassy of the Republic of Indonesia. Now, I thought the ambassador would live and work in here. Oh, no. How could I be so silly? How could I be so ignorant, right? No, he doesn't live there. He just works there. Maybe drops in once a week to make sure everything's going okay. But no, he lives in here, right? That's where the ambassador to Indonesia lives. He's next door neighbor to the Apostolic Annunciature. I keep saying, I don't know what, I guess that's the guy's title. And then there's a little footpath. You can take a little footpath to the Swedish ambassador's residence. Take a little footpath down to the Japanese ambassador's residence, the Egyptian ambassador's residence, right? These are all part of that group that George Carlin called it. What did he call it? It's a big club, and you're not in it. This is where the power resides. And if we zoom out, right, the official residence of the Prime Minister is here, right? That's where Justin Trudeau lives. And then Rideau Hall over here, this is where Thomas McKay built this, the stonemason, right? He built this, and it's the residence for the Governor General of Canada. And Rideau Cottage, there's Rideau Cottage, right? And I'll talk about that in a second. And there's Governor Bay, and there's Rockcliffe Park right up here. This is the Rockcliffe Parkway, and the U.S. Ambassador's office, and where we just were, right up in here, right? If we zoom in again, this is Rockcliffe Road, and that's right where we were, and there's the where we just were, right? So they're all close to each other in Ottawa, and we can zoom around here, and we can see where the, as we said, where the Prime Minister lives, the official residence. And of course, we just go down here and see National Research Council and the Parliament buildings, right? Right down here. There's Parliament, right? So you're getting a bird's eye view of, Ottawa on the Ottawa River, just to give you an idea of where all this is. And again, it's just all public information. I'm not trying to go into any private details or anything like that. I'm not trying to reveal anything that's not already public. But it's interesting to see, just to see where all this stuff is. And, you look at Trudeau, he wants to, in 2024, wanted to do a revamp of the Rideau Cottage. And how much did they spend on that? What did they say about that? Because that's where he grew up as a kid. That was the home. He was at Rideau Cottage. And they're talking about whether he's going to use that again or not, and how much it's going to cost and so on, to turn it into a private residence and stuff. So that's kind of interesting. And then the Lakeside residents undergoing an $8.6 million upgrade. And that is not, this is in his cottage in Harrington Lake, Quebec. So $8.6 million in renovations. That's not even Rideau Cottage, right? And so let's move on. This fellow here, Ivan Jurkovic, just do a search on him in YouTube to see what comes up. And he was installed 8 years ago at the UN in Geneva. And now he's the most reverend Archbishop to Canada. And 2 years ago, he gave a talk there, but very little, nothing beyond in the recent. He talks a little bit here. That's 8 years ago. And so he's essentially retired, but kind of like retired to Canada, 72 years old, to be a representative of the Holy See in Canada, which is, kind of cool. And there you go. So just to give you a little bit of information about who is at the top of the food chain in Canada as far as the various religions goes. It's good to back up and zoom out and to see how small an influence your particular group is. Whatever group you happen to find yourself in. You might be in here, evangelical. Maybe you go to a Salvation Army church. Maybe you're Orthodox. Or most likely you're Catholic and you go to a Catholic church. But what impact is this group right here? And it's interesting to see that they, in 1919 to 1920, Canada's 5 major Protestant denominations, Anglican, Baptist, Congregational, Methodist, Presbyterian, they cooperated to do this forward movement because they wanted to raise money after the war, after World War I. And they raised over $11 million, which is like $1 gazillion today, of course. And but it also showed that they were quite divided. The evangelists, they wanted to have a personal relationship with God, and then the liberal denominations emphasizing the social gospel and good works, right? But both factions agreed, apart from the Anglicans, agreed on prohibition, which was demanded by the WCTU, Women's Christian Temperance Union, I think it's called, the group of women that were against alcohol, and so they banned it for a while. They banned it in the United States, and then Canada was bootlegging booze. That's how the Seagrams got rich, and Bronfmans and so on. They would get the booze from Canada and supply it to the United States. But anyway, just interesting to see. There was attempts at cooperation, right? Attempts at getting these groups together to have an impact on their society, which is gone today. It's all fragmented today. And there is no cooperation. There's these ecumenical movements where they cooperate and put on a show for a photo op where they say, okay, we're going to get together and hold hands and support rainbow initiatives and support these progressive ideals. But, I mean, is that really fighting against the fabric of society in the culture war that we're currently in? And people don't think we're in a culture war. But let's take a look at this article. I don't want to show you where the article comes from. I'd just rather show you the article itself. Evil beginning to get some washback. An interesting article. The tide of evil that we've watched rising in our culture. Right off the bat, do you realize that this is happening? That there's a tide of evil that is rising in our culture? Is now being opposed by a tsunami of concerned people. An encouraging example is about self-described, I can't mention that, while working in this field, and I can't mention these things, but in Idaho, right, they were going to have a public library scheduled to have this particular event for children, and so a group of parents went and they arrived early and took up all the spaces. Just a group of parents say, we're gonna go to this thing, and then there's no room for the kids. And so, of course, they couldn't do anything. They spent a few minutes trying to read to this group of adults before it was canceled. And so there you go, right? If people will stand up against what's going on. Another battlefront, public schools and their attempt to do this and do that, which I can't mention. And so they took the case and they began to read what was being given to the children and, shut down the and there was this group called this, I don't want to mention it, but there's a group there, and they took the situation to court. They were forced to pay their attorney's fees. Lawyers get all the money through all this stuff. And showing just examples of people fighting back against what's happening in the world today. Many different areas, municipal level, public schools, libraries, the government, and it's only if people will raise their voice on an individual or a group level, but one or the other. It's only if people from these groups begin to say, wait a minute here, we have to speak up. They're trying to silence us. And the problem is that the Christians themselves are doing this self-censorship. They're doing self-censorship and they're doing empathetic suicide. And if you don't know what that is, I'd recommend studying a little bit by Gad Saad, G-A-D, last name S-A-A-D. And he's a very eloquent speaker on behalf of the social environment, the current situation that's happening in Canada especially. But there you go. I just thought I'd share this information with you. I'm sorry it took so long, but I hope you find it interesting, and maybe it might help just to zoom out and to see where the power is, where the influence is, and just, to be aware. I mean, the government doesn't really care how you vote, left or right, up, down, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative. They don't care. They do care for people that don't vote, like Mennonites. They're coming down hard on the Mennonites and putting liens on their property because Mennonites don't vote. The rest, they know they're voting. That means they're willing to pay taxes and they're willing to stay silent against the corruption that is running rampant within the government. So they're happy, right? This elite club is happy as long as they get to keep their elite homes, their elite properties, their elite friendships that they have. Imagine what the summertime garden parties must be like in this neighborhood, right? And who gets to go there and hang out and talk, and what do they talk about? Do you think they're concerned about the culture war that's happening in Canada? No, of course not. They don't care. They're part of this elite group. They're too busy enjoying the high life, enjoying their fancy properties, and visiting with one another and hanging out with one another, right? We have to back up, zoom out, and pray. The only solution is to pray for some type of cooperation amongst these groups, and the groups that are not mentioned in there, like the Muslims and the atheists and the pagans, or whoever, right? The indigenous. There has to be some type of breakthrough in cooperative effort towards theism, towards godliness, towards, theism. The atheists aren't going to participate in that, but prayer is the only way, right? We have to pray God's kingdom would come to earth, that he would bring truth, righteousness, peace, a fair level of taxation to provide for a blessed and civilized society. That's what we need to pray for. May thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We don't want to live in chaos. We don't want to live in a corrupt, totalitarian society where the elites rule over and everyone else is relegated to poverty, to the status of serfs, to the status of non-entities. That's not a healthy civilization at all. Thank you very much for watching. God bless you. I pray that this is helpful to you. And yeah, hope to talk to you again soon. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.